Hey, welcome to the Brent's Wednesday webinar mini series. Today, I get the opportunity to not only talk to a good friend of mine, but he is the CEO of one of the fastest business networking uh, organizations. I was going to say nationally, but they're international now. And what's really cool about my friend JR is that he has for years run a very successful coaching company teaching business systems and how to not only like automate businesses, but make efficiencies and processes run smoother. Um, it's just he's transitioned into building this massive networking business. And JR, I just appreciate you being here with me. Today we're going to talk about lead generation. And obviously you've done a lot of that, not only for your other successful businesses that you have had in the past and still have today, but now you have this new business and you've built it in less than 2 years and it's growing really fast. I know the local component, BLN Local, you're building on the framework of local business networking events. You're in 22 cities and counting, and it's just impressive. And so I couldn't think of too many other people better than to talk about lead generation. Do you mind just kind of addressing the audience? And here's what I really wanted to cover today. This is what I told people we were going to talk about. Why is it important? Number one, why are leads important? I talk about that all the time on our Traffic Hackers podcast, but we want 1 to 3 tactics on actionable tactics that people can take from today and implement right away, which I know you know a lot of that stuff. I mean, just off the back of your hand. And then also, how vital is face-to-face lead generation as another perspective for people? Because so many people post-pandemic, they're just trying to do all their leads online, which we sell products to do that through our other business. I'm not trying to push that. Like literally, I want to talk about some different perspectives with why is face-to-face still important. So we'll back up here. We'll start off with why it's important. We'll talk about some of those actionable tactics. We'll end on live face to face, and I'll turn it over to you.
Yeah, well, first off, I want to say thank you so much for even just thinking about me when there's so many other people that can talk about lead gen. But this is something that's passionate for me to really be able to do because lead gen is the process before you that you got to do before you even get to sales. And
Yeah.
so I would try to tell people, it's like, okay, you got to focus on lead gen, but also more of your network and focusing on your listener views and focusing on all the different components. So that way you're gaining the attention to make you look like a credible person that leads them to the opportunity to be able to serve with your products and services. So a lot of people just don't really look at that being an important aspect because they're like, hey, you know what? I got a product or service so I'm passionate about that I want to be able to build, scale, and grow. But they forget the other processes that goes before it. And so lead gen is one of those things. I mean, I honestly, I like to not necessarily focus on lead gen, but I like to focus more on network and what that looks like because truthfully you're coming from the military. We always rely on the person to our left and right to be able to get us through, but we always say we never leave a man behind, and we are dependent on our community. We're dependent on our the people that we're training in battle and combat with, which is your network. And so when you can really focus on not necessarily just the lead gen process, but people that you can really fill into your network so you can build that army that's going to help support you to be able to get to where you want to go, that's going to be even more powerful. But before we dive into any strategies, I just want to say, thank you so much for supporting Business Leaders Network and what we're doing, our endeavors. You're a huge, asset to our community. I mean, especially being on our advisory board. I asked you to be on our advisory board because, just the experience, but also just the character of who you are and just your heart for servant leadership. And our mission at Business Leaders Network is to really build a community of emotionally intelligent servant leaders. And those are the people that we want to tap into. And I'm mentioning our mission for a reason, because this is going to be the catalyst to the success of anyone listening to this to really draw in more leads, to grow their network, to create opportunities. And it's that key part of emotional intelligent servant leader. And when you can really understand what that is, then you're going to be unstoppable to be able to build whatever empire that you choose to do. So, one thing that people need to understand too is what is the process for scalability? A lot of entrepreneurs, they really think about like, you know what? I have a business that I really want to scale. It's like, okay, well, what does that look like? They want to go from starting to scalability, but I'm like, you got to get through the basic foundations of your business first before you can get there. And a great mentor of mine, he's taught me from, early on in my career saying, in order to scale, you first have to create the systems and processes that allows you to delegate so you can eliminate you from the process and participate in the business. People want to go straight to participating and actually go out there, have fun, take whatever break, take whatever vacation, sleep in, do all these different things, but they're not fully committed or willing to sacrifice the things that it takes to get there. And not just
Yeah.
that, when they start building and growing their business and they're like, oh shoot, I'm burnt out, I'm struggling, I don't know what to do. So they want to hire more people. But the reality is you can't hire more people unless you have that system in place to be able to hand it off, or you hire someone before that system is in place, and now it's taking you away from the things that you need to focus on because you're trying to train that individual to be able to do things that you should have already trained them to do in the first place. So that's important to know when it comes to any type of lead gen or process or whatever you're going to do inside of your business, to really create that system and process so that you know where you're going to go. And I remind everyone there's ultimately three things that's going to help you really boost your business. And one is your belief. You really got to believe that you are worth more than what you're even selling your product or service for. Because most people on here, even me included, we could probably double the cost of our products and services, but we're limiting ourselves in our own belief, thinking no one's going to buy this. Is this even worth it? Is there enough value? But we got to get our mindset to the place of belief. And then we got to create that irresistible offer that people are willing to say, yes, I want to have what they have to do, instead of trying to convince them. We're like, hey, I'm not willing to travel to your event or whatever. Do you have a webinar version or virtual version of it? It's like, what they're telling you is, I don't see enough value in what you're offering to willing to cancel my life, stop my life to be able to do what you have to offer. And then the third piece is you got to create that message that's going to resonate with your perfect clients so that they want to stop what they're doing to be able to hear what you have, to be able to move forward with whatever you have to offer. So it's your belief, it's your offer, and it's your message. And when you can dial those three things, and that's going to make a big impact on your growth of lead gen and the growth of growing your network, and even just the growth of your business as a whole. And it all starts with that and key foundational pieces. Now, there's a lot of other pieces that go along with it, but we got to start there when it comes to building your business. So when it comes to the different lead gen tactics and things like that, well, I started with talking about our mission of being an emotionally intelligent servant leader, and I can go into social media tactics and I can do that. I'll give you the easiest tool that I use and the process that I use that keeps my calendar full all the time. It's really not that hard. But boiling down, the first thing that I always try to tell people is, like, if you really want to grow a strong network, if you really want to generate leads, not just a transactional sale, like we could go out there and get a lot of sales, but if you want to be on this hamster wheel where I got to get in sale after sale after sale after sale, and there's never an ending, and your life and business is reliant on that next sale, versus having people that are staying in your community, having reoccurring people coming back and paying you over and over and over again, you have to understand this one thing, and it is being a servant leader. And when you can really grasp that as the number one lead gen tactic, you will be unstoppable, because you are now learning to serve people at a high level. And when the one thing that people value most in their life is their own personal name and who they are. So when you can understand that people value themselves and their own name and who they are, and you're elevating them and you're serving them and you're helping them achieve without expecting anything in return, because the best sales come from those that serve other people. I mean, gosh, I serve people. I mean, one member in our BLN community, I served her for probably a solid year before she even bought my lowest program. And then for my lowest program, shortly after, because I gained trust, she believed, and I really helped her get some results, she ended up paying for my highest program. And now she attends every single one of my events that I offer and travels across the entire US to be able to get to our events. She's committed. But it didn't start there. And it all happened because I was willing to serve her at a high level, and I was available when she needed that help. And I never asked her for anything in return. She always came to me and was like, hey, JR, what can I pay you for this? And what do that? And I say, hey, you know what? Let me just help you with this. Let me just give you this one tip that you can go do. Once you do that, then come back and we'll see what we can do next. And just doing that from the heart. Because when people see and feel your heart of genuinely wanting to help them, they're gonna want to keep coming back. And that's how you keep a raving fan. So for all the listeners out there, if you want to know how to keep a client forever, you got to get them to become a raving fan. How do you help them become a raving fan? Is like, they got to feel valued. Well, how do you make them feel valued? Is by validating them and serving them in a high way, at a high level. So I always say, serve first and ask later. Serve people at a highest level, And then you can ask later. And a lot of times they're going to ask you on how they can move forward to the next steps or what are the products and services you may do. But that is the number one secret when it comes to any business growth, is being that servant leader and really taking care of other people for that. And when you do, your network is going to grow, your business is grow. I want to give a really good example. When I tapped into the online space, and this is back in 2016 and end of 2016 and 17, and I joined a mastermind, and I knew nothing about the online space. Now, I started my entrepreneurship in the fitness space, nutrition. Grew up in it my whole life. My first business was a martial arts school. Then I built a massive fitness business in 4 different cities in less than 3 years. And after about a decade, I want to transition away from teaching fitness and then go into more the consulting side. I knew nothing about the online space. I knew nothing about like how to actually attract people, all these different things. So I joined this mastermind, and going into it, I was just wanting to make an extra $1,000 to $2,000 online. That's all I was really heading for. But I went to a live event that they had in the mastermind. I was in Clearwater, Florida, and the majority of the people in that room, there's about 300 people there. I mean, they're making 10, 20, 30, 50, $100,000 a month. And I was like, wow, these people are doing that. And I'm looking at them like, I am way more educated, a lot more experienced than probably 80% of that room. I was like, I can do this too. And so I just dove in and committed to myself, saying, you know what, I'm gonna make this happen. And then less than 4 months, my dream of making an extra $1,000 to $2,000 a month, I started making $100,000 in a month, and I got a trophy on my desk right here just to prove that I was doing that. I was doing it consistently. But the reason why I got there is because I served that community at a high level. Inside that Facebook group, like, people were confused, thinking I was part of the team to really coach the individuals there, because someone's asking, how do I integrate PayPal or Stripe to this? How do I set up this landing page? How do I set up an event? How do I do this? How do I do that? What is advertisements? How do you run social media? And I'll say, hey, let's jump on a quick Zoom. I'll walk you through this. Or I'll make them a video and be like, hey, here's a video that integrates this into this. Hey, here's how to set up this account. Here's how to do this. And I was always the first person to jump in to really help these people. Never asked for a transaction, never asked for a sale. It was just because I wanted to give as much as I can, so they trusted me. So later on, when I did have an offer to be able to give, that they're willing to raise their hand saying, yes, I want your services. And that's what really got me started in the online space, but it helped me get my business up and going. And it started with that. The next piece of advice that did you have any questions on that? Where I can move on to another piece?
No. Yeah, we can keep on going. Yeah.
Okay, so servant leadership. Now let's move to some tactical stuff. So, servant leadership, it starts with the heart and starts with the character of who you are. The next thing that truly has catapulted me to business, I don't care if you're a virtual business or if you're in-person business, is live events. And I'm talking about in-person live events. And when I got switched to the online space, I was like, okay, is the in-person stuff good? Is it not? And then COVID happened and things like that. And I still believed in live events. But live events and in-person events is the one thing that has truly helped me take every single business. 7 businesses, I duplicated the same process the same way. And I got away from it for a while because I was, drinking the Kool-Aid from other people saying, oh, in-person events don't really work. You can do it all virtual and everything else. And then finally I got to the point, I was like, you know what? People are hungry for more interaction, for more community, for more connection with people. Which I'll come back in a minute, and about BLM Local and how that came to life. But when I started consulting, I leaned on to what I knew best, which was in-person events. And I remember my first event that I did was in the martial arts school. So I get back from Iraq in 2007. I had no clue what I want to do. I was not ready to go work for anyone. I spent the 4 years, really being told what to do. And I was like, I just want to go start my own thing. Well, the only thing I really knew was teaching martial arts. I didn't know anything about business. I mean, I started in martial arts and I was barely making $500 to $1,000 a month to keep the lights on in the building that I had. And so luckily I had some savings that was able to feed me and keep me afloat to be able to do it. But I had a passion and a desire to really build it to be successful. But the one thing that I knew how to do was to seek help and advice, and I hired a coach. I joined a mastermind, I hired a coach, and he taught me a lot of the key things that I still duplicate today. What is it, 17, 18 years later? And it boiled down to like having an offer, but live events. And he pushed me out of my comfort zone to be able to do it. And I love events, love doing it, but it's not just about bringing people into a room and saying, hey, let's have a party, or let's do this, or let me teach you this, or whatever it may be. but there's actually a process when it comes to live events that you can take them from the event itself to turn it to an opportunity to upsell them. Now, instead of selling one-on-one, now you're selling one-to-many. And so he had me host this in one event. It was probably like a bring a buddy, break a board. I'm working with kids, and I got a bunch of people there from guerrilla marketing, going flyers and door to doors and car to car to say, hey, who wants to come? Well, I had probably, I don't know, it was probably 10 different kids or 15 different kids, that came to this event. Had one of my assistant instructors, and I'm doing this event, having the kids run up and down, doing kicks. We're doing the board breaking. Everyone's cheering, everyone's clapping. They're getting excited. Now I got the energy like really explosive in that room, which is why in-person events are really important, but got the energy really high. And then once I finished the class and everyone broke their board, I had my assistant take them, and I took all the parents to the back room and I presented them with an offer. And I was sweating so bad. I was like, okay, are these people going to say yes? Are they going to say no? I don't want to fail at this, but keeping in mind, I come from a background of martial arts where we charged $50 a month, month to month, no contract. I was anti-contract on everything. And my coach was like, no, you got to set a contract. You got to get people committed and have the accountability. And not just that, if you're going to run a business, this is the way to go. So changing my entire belief about the martial arts business, it was like listening to my coach and taking me out of the comfort zone and debunking everything that I thought about business and martial arts. And so I'm going back there and I'm presenting this offer and two different types of contracts. So there's the 12-month basic program, and then we have our Black Belt Club program, which is 36 months. So I'm going for $50 a month now, trying to get people to pay me around $125 to $150 a month for 12 months, or a 36-month contract for close to $300 a month for their kids. And we created this irresistible offer that's like, hey, you can do this or you can do this. These are the two options if you guys want to join us. What do you want to do type thing? Now, granted, I went through the whole value stack. I talked about why they need to do it and stuff. But when I finished that presentation with the parents, I walked away with more than $7,500 in monthly reoccurring revenue for the next 36 months. I was barely making $500 to $1,000 a month from what I was doing before. That process was, and doing the event with the offer giveaway ultimately changed my entire life. And it's the one thing that really catapulted my business when it came to the growth. And I still duplicate the process today. And I'm going to go through some key fundamentals here in a second of why I believe in-person events and why that was successful, and why every person listening here can duplicate that same process to not even just join or get more lead gen, but to grow their network and create more sales. So leading with the servant's heart is the number one thing I tell people to start. The second thing is always in-person events. And that's the one thing I believe in. I believe it's more powerful than anything when it comes to virtual or in-person. I'll always lean on in-person events. And then the last thing is leveraging what's right in front of you for free, which is social media. And I'll break down a very simple process that keeps my calendar full every single day. And all I have to do is turn it on and my calendar's full. And it's a no-brainer thing. But one thing that people are screwing up with is understanding the foundational pieces of their business. They don't really have a clear picture of who their perfect client is. That's always a start, because if you don't, like, I know we as a business coach or any type of mastermind, we always say you got to niche down, you got to know this and you got to do that, but that is the truth, especially when you do any type of marketing campaign. I don't care if you're doing a billboard, a TV commercial, social media, LinkedIn campaigns, whatever. You need to know who are the people you're talking to. So who's that perfect client? And it's dialing down to the nitty gritty details of, okay, this type of person that lives here, that thinks this way, that gets their news here, that eats this way, that is a family, that has kids, that drives this type of vehicles, that hangs out in these type of groups, that does these different types of sporting events, whatever it may be. But I always say, hey, ask this question. Is this person for me? FOR. And it stands for family, occupation, and recreation. You got to know their family history. You got to know their occupation and what do they do for a living, how much money they make, where do they get their news. And you got to know the recreation, the things that they like and dislike. Where do they have their fun? When you can dial those three things in, it's a lot easier to really pick who your perfect client is. But when you understand who your perfect client is, now you got to identify what are the problems that they have. Now, this is where people screw up at. They assume, well, my clients, they want help with this, this, and this, whatever it may be. Instead of thinking about, well, my clients or my friends or my prospects or acquaintances, they're asking me questions on this. Those are the problems. not what you think that you want to help people with, but it's listening to your audience about the questions that they're asking you with. And that's where you start. And I always tell people, create your big 7. What are the 7 biggest problems that your perfect clients have? You need to identify that. You need to identify who your perfect client is and the problems that they're solving. And then you're going to follow the simple process. This works on all platforms. So whether you're doing LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, whatever, is what we call a 2-step post. And a 2-step post is really simple. Is you are addressing one key problem, just one problem, in a very short form post to get them to raise their hand saying, I'm interested. That leads them to the opportunity and the next steps. This is how I keep my calendar full. This is how I grow my network. This is how I fill events. This is how I fill, keep, sales opportunities, whatever it may be, is through the same process. So you can say something like, let's just say one problem. You're a business coach. You're working with people that want to figure out more about lead gen, and you created a simple process. Now, here's the other thing too is, when you do this, you don't have to have a printed sheet that you're giving them. And I suggest that you don't. I don't suggest that you're actually giving them physically to be able to do it, because the goal is to get more sales calls and to lead them to another opportunity. So get them on the phone. That's what the whole goal of this process is. So you could do a simple post on any platform, very short, saying brand new blueprint on how to generate high quality leads fast with your perfect client. Who wants it? That's it. Brand new blueprint on how to generate high quality leads of your perfect client. Who wants it? And just leave it at that. You're going to start getting people that just comment saying, interested, me, I want it, whatever it may be. Let it flow. Let people go in there and don't just respond right away. Just let 5 or 10 of those posts, or if it's a little slower, then just do 1 or 2. And then what comes, you have to understand the algorithm. So when people comment on there, you want to keep the notifications going and understand the algorithm, that when every comment that you get or every post there is, it keeps boosting it up, and then more people see, more visibility. So you do this post saying, hey, brand new blueprint on how to generate more leads fast. Who wants it? People comment saying, interested in me. I'm going to reply back to that and saying, with a tag saying, Brent Stone, awesome. I'm shooting you a DM with more details now. Or JR Spear, cool. Check your DMs. I just shot you a message. And so I'm redirecting them to the DMs, because Facebook, Instagram, all the different platforms, they want to see that you're being social. They want to see that you're connecting, but they're watching. Okay, are you doing a post? Are people interacting with it through likes and loves and hearts or whatever it may be? Are they commenting on it? And are you engaging with them in the DMs? You got to do all of it. They're seeing the engagement in the DMs with the algorithm. So when you do that post and you shoot them a DM, this is the exact script that you need to say every single time. Hey, Brent Stone, comma, you just commented on my post about, and then make sure you refer back to the post about how to generate more leads fast with your ideal client. Love to schedule a time to chat. Are you available at this day or that day? What works for you? And then wait for them to respond. When they do, say, cool, what's your email? Let me send you an invite. Get their email, send an invite. Now, if you have your automation and CRM and everything set up correctly, and you send them in that invite with that email, they're immediately into your platform, your CRM, so that way you can nurture them long term. You're growing your email list, you're growing your contacts, and now you're able to really help get them to the point of where they want to go. But this is the simplest process that I take to keep my calendar full, and I can do this over and over again and just turn it on like a light switch. Now, here's the other thing too. Sometimes I do a post like that and it's crickets. That's okay. People probably just either didn't see it because I had a bunch of other posts, or maybe that the wording wasn't right. If I got nothing going on, I'm going to create a new post that's very similar to that, change a couple words and do it. And, here I go from 0 comments and likes to now I got 25 to 30 or whatever. And when I do these type of posts, it's not uncommon for me to have an easy 75, 100 to 400 comments over a week or 2 period of time to be able to do it. But you have to know where you're sending them to. So we do this in a couple different ways. For me, when I post it, it's always to lead them to a call. When I have my virtual assistance team, it's always to lead them to our bribe, which is our 15-minute interview that we do in our free Facebook group. And so that we're doing in other type of podcasting groups or whatever it may be. And that's where we're getting like 200, 300, 400 plus different comments on there. So
Man,
when you're
so
talking
awesome.
about Yeah, when you're talking about tactical strategies, anyone listening to this, I want them to walk away with those three things. One, are you leading with the servant's heart? Are you an emotionally intelligent servant leader? And are you serving them at a high level without expecting anything in return? When you could do that and you turn that on like steroids where you're hyper focused on just serving people, that's going to give you the biggest ROI. The second thing is really leveraging in-person events to help build your network, build your pipeline, and generate those high quality leads that are going to last for a lifetime. And there's a process when it comes to running your event. If someone's interested in that, I can definitely help you with that. And the third thing is leveraging your free tools like social media and using two-step posts to help keep your calendar full. Stay away from long-form content. Long-form content is you're going to have less engagement. Long-form content is good just to start position you as an authority. But if your goal is to really book calls and to grow your list and to create more opportunities, two-step post is what's going to do that for you.
Yeah.
But I want, yeah, I want to, unless you have questions, I just want to hit on the difference between like in-person and virtual events really quick.
Well, here's the thing, just for the sake of time, let me say this, because I want to wind it down. Here's what I wanted to chat on. You and I are going to be together tomorrow night in Harrisonburg, Virginia, at
Yeah.
the first BLN local event in Harrisonburg, Virginia. And
Yeah.
I want to have this video and I want to put this out here so people, if they see this and they're like, hey, I want to learn how to do more in-person events, obviously they can comment on this video, they can shoot me a message, they can find UJR. But if you're local to Virginia and you want to drive hour, 2 hour, or if you're in Harrisonburg, you need to reach out to me or JR, because either one of us, we can direct you to that event. You can meet JR, you can learn about putting on your own local events like he was talking about. And I know that he does some of that with some of his consulting business and helping people with generating revenue off of doing in-person events. But that's not the focus of BLN Live, or I'm sorry, BLN Local. What we're doing at BLN Local is a actual networking event. If anyone's ever been a part of like BNI groups or different type of chamber events or things like that, it's imagine having a educational system combined with a live networking event and being able to derive tons of value from it over the course of time, because a membership to the BLN community is a much more than just a live networking event. It's actually an international community, and they get together. We get together different times throughout the week, do different things like that. But here's what I want people to take away, because I'm focused on generating leads. JR knows this. You're going to get a lot of tips and things on that being a part of this community. Also being able to get a chance to meet us and meet us in person. I wanted to focus on the in-person stuff, which JR did an awesome job at doing, because we have that event tomorrow night. And this isn't the last time you'll hear from JR in this capacity. In fact, I want to save some for a later day where we can come back, because I know that there's people that are getting value from this, and I want them to have the itch to come and either see you in person tomorrow in Harrisonburg, or come back on another event that we do, whether it be on Facebook, LinkedIn, or whatever, where we're getting a chance to talk, because there's tons of value there. I don't want you to give away all the secret sauce on the first date. So let's let people come back, and we have this now and recorded, so people will be able to see this, and it'll be awesome. So I don't want to cut this short. I know we both have meetings coming up. I wanted to say thank you for being here and delivering so much, and obviously bringing that servant leadership aspect that you bring so well to everything that you do, to this viewership and listenership. And we will get a chance to hopefully serve you, viewer, either tomorrow in person in Harrisonburg at the live event, or at some point here in the near future on another webinar, or reach out to me. I can introduce you to JR. I can introduce you to some of the things that Glenn, my business partner for Funnel Force, and I do with prospecting automation and generating leads. Obviously, that's something we're really passionate about. And tune in to other episodes of the Traffic Hackers podcast, which we deliver free value, ongoing, all the time, weekly. And we would love for you to like and follow that podcast as well. Hey, with that, JR, thank you so much for being here and being a part of this.
No, thank you so much. And just so your listeners know, I'm going to be driving about 2.5 hours just to come out there and be part of the event. And people need to know that it's different than any other type of networking organization. Like, we really, when you get there, We are there to serve you, to really help you, to educate you and teach you how to network. And that way you leave there with an opportunity or a new connection to really help you grow. So love to meet you guys out there, and hopefully you can take the time and see the value in what we're going to bring.
Absolutely. Hey, thanks so much, man. This has been great. Thank you for being a part of this.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.